My girlfriend was secretly dating my best friend. I secretly dated his mom. I'd been with Emma for 2 years, and my best friend Kyle had been single that whole time. Or so I thought. Kyle would come over for poker nights and complain about dating apps while Emma played video games in the other room. He'd ask me for advice about girls who ghosted him, and I'd comfort him, telling him he'd find someone amazing. He was at every birthday, every holiday, every celebration we had as a couple. Emma would barely talk to him, acting like he was just my annoying friend she had to tolerate. Looking back, that should have been the first sign, since Emma never shut up around anyone else. Around Kyle, she went quiet and careful, like she was holding her breath. The discovery happened by accident. I came home early from a work trip. My flight moved up 6 hours, and I didn't tell Emma because I wanted to surprise her with takeout. I walked into our apartment and heard voices from the bedroom. Not just voices, but Kyle's specific laugh, the nervous one he did when he thought he was about to get caught. Then I heard Emma say he looked better in my jersey than I ever did. I stood in that hallway listening to my best friend of 10 years and my girlfriend of 2 discussing how I was too boring in bed, and that's why they had to find each other. Kyle said I was getting suspicious, so they needed to be more careful. Emma said I was too stupid to ever figure it out, and they'd been doing it for 8 months. 8 months of Kyle crying on my shoulder about being single while sneaking off to my girlfriend. 8 months of Emma pretending to work late. 8 months of them eating food I cooked while playing footsie under my table. I left without confronting them and went to my sister's house to think. She wanted to go slash tires. I had a better idea. Kyle's mom, Diane, was 51 and divorced for 3 years. She ran a construction company and she'd been lonely since her husband left. She always told me I was the son she wished she'd had instead. Perfect. I started by running into Diane at the coffee shop near her office. Total coincidence. Definitely not planned. I mentioned needing help with apartment renovations that didn't exist, and she offered to take a look as a favor to her son's best friend. She came over when Emma was at work and I wore a tight shirt and hauled heavy boxes around the living room while pointing at imaginary problems. Diane started texting me about other things I might need fixed. I always needed something. The sink that worked fine, the door that wasn't squeaking, the light that wasn't broken. I'd make her lunch as a thank you. Fresh sandwiches, homemade soup, cookies still warm from the oven. She said she hadn't had someone cook for her since her divorce. She started staying longer, talking about her business, how Kyle never visited her anymore. Week 3, I suggested dinner after she fixed my perfectly functioning garbage disposal. We had wine and talked until the restaurant closed. She walked me to my door and said any woman would be lucky to have me. I kissed her on the cheek and said she made me feel appreciated. The relationship started the next week. Diane took me to nice restaurants on the nights Emma was supposedly working late, but was actually with Kyle. We went to concerts and museums, all the places Emma called boring. Diane bought me flowers every week. She treated me like I was precious while Emma treated me like I was convenient. Meanwhile, Emma and Kyle got sloppier. Emma came home smelling like his cologne. Kyle mentioned movies he'd supposedly watched alone. They thought they were so clever. Really, they were just cruel. After 2 months with Diane, I invited everyone for Thanksgiving dinner. My parents, Emma's parents, Kyle, and one surprise guest, Diane. I planned the menu for a week. I set the table with the good plates. I lit the candles that afternoon and stood back and looked at it, thinking about how it would look right before I burned it all down. When Diane walked in, Kyle dropped his wine glass. He stammered, asking why his mom was there. I smiled at everyone in the room and took Diane's hand. Diane's here because I invited her as my date. Kyle's face went white. Emma's eyebrows scrunched together, confused. Diane squeezed my hand back, warm and certain, still having no idea what was about to happen in that room. None of them did. And I hadn't even gotten to the part where I said the words that would end all of it. Full story continues on the link. You don't want to miss what happened at that dinner. Click here to watch part 2 of the story.